I think phase two is very complicated. The Chinese would have to stop confiscating intellectual property. I think we won't have a phase two deal before the election. Maybe we'll have one after the election, but I don't think we're going to have one for most of this year.
Have you been impressed by any of the details that are filling in ahead of this signing?
No, I think phase one is coming in pretty much as I expected. It's basically a transactional deal, a deal where pork and soybeans are traded for the suspension of tariffs. So I don't think there are any surprises in phase one.
We are looking at things like purchases of manufactured goods, as you said, financial services, energy, ag, 100% ownership in financials. That's important. Kudlow thinks it's going to add half a point to GDP. Maybe that offsets the damage we get from Boeing 737 MAX. What would have made it more important? Optically, would it have been better if there had been a signing of the president's, or is there something else that you think was reasonable, possible to attain, but just is not in there today?
The big issue is the confiscation of intellectual property. China has to agree to suspend any efforts to do that. That's part of phase two, and that isn't in phase one. There's an allusion to it, but basically phase one is a deal, a trade deal. It is not a policy deal, and some of the policy measures that need to be taken aren't in it.
So, Byron, because I know we've had officials on our end, and we haven't seen this 86-page report in the translation yet, right? So we don't have all those details. But there has been a lot of commentary that there are IP theft protections that are within this phase one deal. You don't think that would go far enough?
Yeah, I mean, China is determined to be the leader in digital technology by 2025. And I don't think they can do that with indigenous development on their own. So therefore, my belief is that they're going to hold back on the agreement of not to confiscate or steal intellectual property. Maybe I'm going to be wrong about that, but I don't think in phase one, from what I know about it, and we haven't seen the language yet, in phase one, I don't think they're going to deal directly with that issue.
So does that mean we continue to see this decoupling within tech? I mean, we're also getting these reports simultaneously that there's going to be greater crackdowns on the supply chains where Huawei is concerned. Does that continue? And if so, what does it mean for tech in this country? Look,
I think decoupling is going to be discussed more and more as the year goes on. I think right now we're headed to a situation where there are going to be two different 5G systems. I think that's not good. I think decoupling is a dangerous concept. My belief is that the world is an interdependent place. Interconnection is important. I wish China and the United States could cooperate on technology instead of being adversaries.
All right, let's talk markets for a minute, Byron, here. We started the year with, the biggest cap companies just aggregating even more market cap. Apple, Facebook, Alphabet, all up over 7%. The NASDAQ, very, very strong. Some see some analogies to 20 years ago or a little more than that. You worried at all?
Am I worried? I'm always worried.
Yeah, you're worried. Are you worried? I know you're always worried, but multiples are higher than they've been in a long time. We do seem to have sort of a momentum market here that's developed. Is it more concerning to you, perhaps, than it otherwise would be, given you're always worried?
No, I would say not. I still think this is going to be a year. My target for the year is 3,500 on the S&P 500. I think you have to look at where the multiple is in relation to interest rates. With 10-year Treasury around 2%, I think the market can definitely sustain a 20 multiple. and get to 3,500.
And when it comes to whether it's stocks, earnings, exports, confidence, does the fact that we have this signing today, if you want to call it a truce that maybe doesn't address the longer-term issues, do you think those things like confidence in exports and earnings can improve based on this relative détente with China?
Look, I think the phase one deal is without question a positive. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And the fact that we're not going to war with Iran, at least not immediately, is another positive. And the fact that earnings, I think, will probably come in generally on target or a little better than expected, that's another positive. So far, the year is playing out in a favorable way, and that's consistent with my view.